Guys, this is on Before It's News. Constitutional carry is the only real self-defense solution because Americans should never have to beg their government for the right to keep and bear arms. And that's absolutely true. They don't have any authority. I'm going to go down through here. I'll put a link to this. I want you guys to go read this yourself. This is a pretty good article. Noted libertarian author and scholar Ayn Rand explained the Constitution, its primary function, and the virtue of selfishness. That was her book. She wrote, "It cannot be repeated too often." I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit. Cannot be repeated too often that the Constitution is a limitation on the government, not on private individuals. That it does not prescribe the conduct of private individuals, only the conduct of the government. That is, it's not a charter for government power, but a charter for the citizens' protection against the government. I want you guys to rethink your brain, take out all the old thoughts and shit that you've been shoved down your throat, and listen again. It cannot be repeated too often that the Constitution is a limitation on the government, not on private individuals. That it does not prescribe the conduct of private individuals, only the conduct of the government. That it is not a charter for government power, but a charter of the citizens' protection against government. She notes that the Founding Fathers adopted a form of government that recognizes that all humans have inalienable rights. Zoomed that in. I want you guys to see that. I want you to understand what your rights are. Pick up the Constitution. She notes that our Founding Fathers adopted a form of government which recognizes that all humans have inalienable rights. That is, those which are not dependent on the whims of government officials, but rather they are natural and they are inherent. You inherited those rights as soon as you were born. American citizen, Rand notes, were to be empowered by the Constitution, while the government was restricted. And for certain, our founders never wanted government officials to be in a position to deny us our rights. When the Founding Fathers wrote the Second Amendment, their intent was to ensure that Americans would never be denied the unalienable right to not be improperly harmed by others, whether that threat came internally from criminals or their own government, or externally by an invasion. They did not write caveats into the amendment. They did not put a time limit on it. They didn't distinguish between weapons either, except to say that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. No provision requiring citizens to petition the government for a permission to enjoy that right. But yet, how many jurisdictions around the country are just like Los Angeles, where the Americans are forced to beg for the right to bear arms for self-defense, and then denied that right? That's absurd on its face and pathetically unconstitutional. Can you imagine being denied the right to speak freely because you don't have a permit or haven't taken a licensed course in it? Our founders were correct in their concerns about tyrannical government officials being in a position someday to deny us our rights. I want you guys to read this. Let it sink in. Please let it sink in. Just remember, it cannot be repeated too often that the Constitution is a limitation on the government, not on private individuals. That it does not prescribe the conduct of that private individual, only the conduct of the government. It's not a charter for government power, it's a charter for the citizens' protection against that government. All humans have that unalienable right, that is, which we are not dependent on the whims of government officials, but rather the rights we have are natural and inherent. You know, people, the American citizens were to be empowered by the Constitution, while the government was restricted. You know, if you read the Constitution, like you look at the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution ratifies and preserves for every American citizen the right to keep and bear arms, and that Congress and other instruments of the federal government, they are constitutionally barred from infringing upon that right. So where are these gun laws coming from? They're coming out of the air. They don't have the authority. It's beyond the scope of their authority to pass any kind of firearm laws in the United States of America. Congress is constitutionally barred. Get that through your head. These laws they've been passing, they're putting under the Commerce Clause, because they are constitutionally barred from infringing upon your rights, any of your rights. Where did that gun law come from? Well, the first one in 1934, it's actually a part of the Internal Revenue Code, imposing a tax on importer, manufacturing dealers, and so on. It all comes under the Commerce Clause. What does commerce mean? If you look in Webster's Dictionary, 1828, commerce means the selling and buying within the states. That's it. It's so that free trade cannot be, one state can't charge more for a product than another state can. So you can, you know, free trade, that's all it is. You can sum up commerce as free trade. Do not let these people get away with this. Pick up your Constitution. That's what this is. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. United States of America. Put these people in their place. Those laws they put up there, they're null and void. They look like law. It's like what they call the color of law. It looks like law, but it has no substance to it. They can't do jack shit. Like the ATF, they have no power. Power is only in Congress. Congress cannot grant power to the ATF to write laws and stuff. They can't. Only Congress. Wake up, people. Smell the roses. Educate yourself. Then go out and fight. Let's get rid of it. You know, I get so upset. I think everybody out there does. You know, it's not only just your federal government doing it. Then you got your cities and stuff trying to do this, and you know they're going like, well, it's home rule. You know, we got this thing. You know, we don't want guns. And here's the thing: home rule doesn't grant authority to cities or anything like that to infringe on your right to keep and bear arms. They don't have the authority any more than the federal government. Start putting your foot down. Take back your country. I'll put a link to this. Please go read this so you'll understand. And read it again, read it again, read it again, read it again, so that you understand. Congress, the federal government, only has limited powers. Their powers, if you read the Constitution, there's nowhere in there that says Congress can write gun laws. Does it? No, it don't. Nope. Liberty is the right of all human beings, and their government is established to protect those rights, not regulate them. Thanks for watching.